Hey YouTube! I've decided to make a video series on the Asylum challenge in The Sims 4. For anyone who hasn't heard of it, I will include the rules in the video description below the video. So there are 3 sets of rules with increasing difficulty, easy, medium and hard mode, and I've decided to jump in at the deep end really and try hard mode. I've actually never done this challenge before, so it should be pretty interesting. Hopefully it will give entertaining results doing hard mode. The rules apply to both gameplay and build mode, and there are restrictions for various buy mode objects. All of the buy mode objects have to be the cheapest possible, which is quite limiting in terms of aesthetics, so with a few things I decided to ignore this rule, like with some of the lights and a few of the mirrors I added and dressers, because some of the cheapest objects are actually kid stuff and it does ruin the aesthetic a bit, but I don't think there's a huge stat difference between some of the objects I ended up buying, although I will probably check again later before I start playing. With easy and medium mode you can upgrade the objects later as you get more money, but you're not allowed to do that in hard mode, although you can upgrade objects using the handiness skill. In terms of build mode restrictions, I don't think there really are any, so for that I just bought stuff I thought would look good aesthetically. I didn't have an exact plan in mind for this build, but ended up looking up images of real-life asylums on Google, and then in the end I ended up using very little of that and just making it up as I went along, though I did end up keeping the front veranda idea, which I'm building at the moment in the video. It's actually quite a small lot too, which limited me somewhat when it came to the overall size of the building. It seemed a lot bigger but when I started building it, that wasn't really the case. I decided to build it in the empty Glimmerbrook lot because it seemed to fit that kind of creepy vibe a bit better for an asylum. The only packs I have installed are Glamour Life and Realm of Magic, so I don't have a lot of worlds to choose from when it comes to building stuff, so I do think some of the other packs, like the vampire one, would have been interesting for an asylum because there's lots of gothic and creepy build and buy mode objects. But I don't have that one, so I also don't have any CC in my game at this point, which is a bit weird really. I have lots in The Sims 2, but I've never bothered to check that out in The Sims 4. I think I might have had some stuff installed in The Sims 3 too, but not as much. I don't know why that is, because I have like tons in The Sims 2, but I'll have to look into that at some point. Certainly some of that could have probably helped with this build, but in the meantime I just ended up building it with objects from the base game and the 2 packs I have installed. So I decided to add a couple of towers to the building and also added 3 floors. I wanted to make the building seem as large as possible, but I actually didn't end up using the top floor at all, since you're quite limited in terms of buy mode options anyway, so there's really not a lot of stuff you can add, but I think it makes it look better from the exterior, having the extra height. The front garden also ended up being larger than the back, so I didn't end up doing as much with the back garden, really just added a porch there, some box hedges, a workbench and a couple of other items I think. So the build took about 2 hours to complete in total. It might have been a bit over that in the end because I went back and edited a bunch of things in the interior later. I edited in 4 bedrooms instead of just having one, because initially I just had the 1 bedroom with 4 beds in, but I decided that, I had the space, so I might as well make 4 bedrooms. You can actually only have 4 beds, but I'll go into the buy mode rules a bit more in a bit. I actually noticed while editing this video a few mistakes I'd made with some of the paintwork inside that needs correcting, so if I remember I'll have to edit that later too. I've sped up this video quite a lot, but you can probably see it took me quite a while to decide on certain things like the bricks, door colours and window choices, because I'm still pretty rusty with building really. I used to do it a bit more in The Sims 2, but then when I started playing The Sims 3 years ago I didn't build as much, mostly focused on gameplay. Like, as you can see, I ended up moving the towers, and just changing a bunch of things about the shape of the outside of the building. I also added a path, which is funny because it kind of leads nowhere, but I guess it fills in some space, so ended up moving. I noticed one of the pillars on the veranda didn't match, so I also replaced that. And I messed around with fountains a bunch of times. The fountains that you make, like that you can generate yourself, are actually quite modern looking and didn't really fit the aesthetics of the outside of the building, I didn't think. So I ended up going for the fancier Realm of Magic fountain that they added, which I actually really like. It's a pretty great fountain. I added like a bunch of plants because I wanted it to look slightly overgrown but not too chaotic, and I really like the wildflowers as well, that I think came in the Realm of Magic expansion, especially the blue ones, so I ended up adding a bunch of those around, lots of overgrown grass and stuff like that. It took me a while, like I added box hedges all around the outside. The effort that I put into like the front garden compared to the back garden is actually huge, but yeah, because the building was quite large and the lot isn't huge, there really wasn't that much room for much at the back anyway, so. And I may go into it and edit it a bit more, but I think I'm mostly done now. So I didn't end up making use of most of the tower. I basically turned it into 2 rooms. Well, there are technically 6 rooms, but I only ended up using 2 of them. So the bottom right one ended up being like a small kind of reading room. I didn't add a bookcase, I just added like, because you have to pick the cheapest of various objects. So with the bookcase, I did actually pick the cheapest one, and it's technically just a pile of books. I don't know if they added that in a patch later or not, because I'm pretty sure you couldn't use those as bookcases before. I think they were just decorative objects, but maybe I imagined that and you could always use them for that purpose. But yeah, so there's just one of those, and then there's like a cheap chair in there, and then I turned another into a bathroom, and it's actually the only bathroom in the house. So that's going to be interesting with 8 Sims. It's probably going to get pretty chaotic, to be honest. Yeah, so adding a bunch more flowers. I actually realised that the floor didn't extend. The ground floor was like, most of the ground floor was missing because I'd only like, because of how I built it. So I had to stretch that out to a bunch of places. And then that's the reading room that I'm building at the moment. So for the buy mode objects, there are a bunch of other rules. Actually, you're only allowed 1 sink, 1 toilet, and either a single shower or bathtub. So I opted for shower and put the sink into the bathroom, which means there is no kitchen sink, which I may end up changing later, because I like there to be a sink in the bathroom because it just feels weird not having one. But if they have to walk all the way upstairs every time, because I know there's weird routing stuff that happens sometimes with Sims and dishes, that will get very annoying because the kitchen's on the ground floor, so I might have to think about that. You're only allowed like 4 seating spots as well, and 4 sleeping spots, so a double bed would count as 2, but I added 4 single beds, and turned them into 4 rooms eventually. Initially I only had 1 room. I assume a couch would count as multiple, so I only included 4 single chairs. I wanted like 2 for the chessboard as well, so you're allowed 5 skilling objects, not including a TV, computer, bookcase, stoves and mirrors. But under the medium rules, you're only allowed either a computer or a TV, and I assume the rules stack. So if you play hard mode, you have to follow the medium and easy rules as well. So I opted for a computer since it has a bunch of uses. Although I do think obviously with a TV you can build the comedy skill, and I think there might be ways to do that on the computer, but I can't remember. Like maybe if your sim is employed in that career, there's I think there's like some writing thing they can do, like writing comedy. Um, it's been a while since I've done that one. You have to like the challenge is over when you've completed 4 aspirations. So that's like I think I might end up randomly. I'm not sure how you're supposed to choose them because I don't think it specifies in the challenge, but I might randomly generate the aspiration to keep it interesting as well. So we'll see. But yeah, you're only allowed 5 skilling objects, not including the stuff I mentioned. And I may end up changing the skilling objects later, before I start playing, because I was trying to think of skills that are more relevant to certain careers and aspirations, but it's difficult to balance, really. I don't have any fitness objects at the moment, and you're only allowed to leave the lot for very specific reasons at certain hours. So, and also, I think with some of them, there's 2 sort of vaguely conflicting rules. Like you're allowed to leave the lot to fish and to collect certain objects, and it doesn't specify having to bring other people with you when you do that, but it does, like, it says you can leave the lot from certain hours if your aspiration requires it, but you have to bring everyone along with you. But then for some reason the fishing and collecting thing has different hours and you don't have to bring anyone, so that's weirdly conflicting. I'm not sure why those things are special, but anyway, so I'm assuming if there is some skilling related thing that I can probably go off lot to do it, because the aspiration would require it. So in that case, since like every neighbourhood has a gym, I can probably do, I don't know why I said neighbourhood, world, like you can go to the other world and see, like, get to the gym. Obviously this world doesn't have a gym, it only has 1 community lot on it, but yeah, I should be able to, I'm so used to playing The Sims 2. I've been playing it like for the last several months, so they have like neighbourhoods instead of worlds and there's like obviously a bunch of differences. Yeah, so I can probably go to the gym to boost the athletic skill, but there will be certain things that I probably need on the lot, so I will need to think about that. But at the moment, I've just added a chessboard for the logic skill, a workbench for the handiness skill, because I'm probably going to need that, because, like, on hard mode, you're not allowed to replace any of the objects. You can in the other modes, so you can only upgrade them, and otherwise, like, with the other ones, you can, like, buy more expensive ones, but you have to delete it first. So you can't buy any additional objects, you can only replace stuff. But with this, you can only upgrade them, so I guess handiness might come in handy. So I've added a workbench, the chess set, guitar, violin, and easel. But yeah, I may have to change those, I don't know. It really depends on the aspiration. Another thing is, I think in hard mode, your sim is allowed a job, but none of the other sims are, whereas they are in the other modes. So they'll just be wandering around the house crazily, I guess. I need to look at the rules again. I'm not sure if, like, there are, like, penalties and stuff if your sims die. I'm not really sure. But, yeah. Because I don't normally play with free will turned on, so that's another reason this challenge will be pretty interesting, because I can imagine that a bunch of the Sims will end up dying, since you can't control any of them, except your Sim. Like, I guess you pick the main Sim that's going to be your Sim, and then you have all the other Sims around. So yeah. Yeah, I'm building the bathroom at the moment in the video, and yeah. So I messed around with the kitchen a bunch. Like, initially I had an island table with a couple of bar stools, and then I replaced it with a dining table, and then I remembered the seating limitation, so I just ended up getting rid of that, because you need, like, you can only have 4 seats anyway, and I need one for the computer, and I put one in the reading room, and then added the others to the chess table, because you need at least one, and that way, I guess, 2 Sims can be using it. I mean, I guess you can get the Sims to move, I think, by, I don't remember, but if the shoe option is in this game, then maybe you can just, I guess my Sim can just move them if they're hogging the chessboard or whatever. Um, but yeah, you can have multiple bookcases, I think, too, because they don't count as skilling objects, but since you have to get the cheapest one, I just didn't see the point in that anyway. And, like, I got all the cheapest counters as well, and the cheapest oven, cheapest fridge, all of that stuff, since I'm pretty sure the stats on those objects are important, so they definitely, like, improve as they go up. So I spent some time trying to fit curtains in the kitchen, but ultimately decided not to bother, and many of them cut through the counters actually and don't really fit, which is kind of an annoying thing about the curtains in The Sims, like they don't fit around various objects. I think some of the ones from the Glamour Life stuff pack fit better and go behind some of the objects. I ended up putting some in one of the bedrooms, well, a few of the bedrooms actually, I think, but I'm not sure whether they'd cut through the curtains, because I didn't actually check those as far as I remember. But yeah, I edited the interior a bunch of times after I initially finished it. So initially, the entire of the ground floor was just like one big empty room, except for the kitchen, which just didn't really work. It was just like a giant empty warehouse or something. So I ended up putting in some more walls. I built like a little art kind of studio at the back to put the easel and the instruments in. I think probably having a bunch of creative objects will help, because they're definitely like, the Sim is definitely going to have to make some stuff, probably sell some paintings and stuff on top of working, I think, because this is a huge lot, so I think the bills are probably going to be kind of expensive, and you can't, like, only one Sim can work, as I mentioned, so that would probably help, although I don't know if the Sim's going to be in a good mood most of the time or not, but, well, I think it should be fine, like, that Sim should be fine. So I also just checked, and yeah, you have to delete one bed and one seat every time a Sim dies. In hard mode, it's like one of both. So that's not going to be great, because at some point, I mean, you won't be able to use a computer without a seat there, or the chessboard. So I need at least 2 seats on the lot, really, for that to be functional. So yeah, that that will be interesting. I'm not sure how easy it is for Sims to die, but I mean, the oven's cheap and the fridge is cheap. I'm not sure if the fridge being cheap has an effect on burning food. I think it's mostly the oven. But yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. I've actually added a fire alarm though, so maybe that'll stop Sims from dying. Might get rid of it just to make things interesting. I don't think the rules mentioned a fire alarm, but I'd have to check again. But yeah, it's like, that's how most Sims go, I think. They end up setting themselves on fire. I'm not sure of the full list of ways to die in The Sims. Obviously there's old age, drowning, I assume electrocution is still there. But yeah, initially I put like the cheapest light into every room, like the really small one, but then I thought like that it's just like some of these other lights are more aesthetically interesting, so I just replaced them because I don't think the lights um have an like I don't know if they have an environment stat or not. I should probably check that actually, but I don't think they do. So it didn't really seem to matter which ones I picked. But still, I don't know how much of an impact on the overall gameplay. The mixology thing is another skill building object, so I was thinking putting a bar somewhere, but then changed my mind about it. I'm not sure if you can use the bars on Community Lot to skill build, which will be interesting. If you can't, then I suppose one of the objects I add will have to be a skill, like, will have to be a bar. Yeah, I put a bunch of mats downstairs too, to sort of make the space feel more homey, I guess, and not too empty. And I added a bunch of decorative objects as well. They're not all like the cheapest decorative object either. I didn't know whether that really should apply to that, to be honest, to that sort of thing. But I didn't want to have like too many statues or paintings around because, like, at least the more expensive ones, they really will boost the environment score, I think. So I tried to avoid that. But yeah, I did want this asylum to have a more kind of rundown, creepy vibe, which in the end kind of went out the window because I was really quite limited by like the options. I think maybe later I might try building another similar kind of building, but like download some CC and try and make it more like creepy, like more run down and spooky looking, because it's quite kind of hard to do that with the stuff I add. I mean, the magic stuff is, some of it's pretty decent. It gives it a kind of like, I don't know, fantastical vibe, but it's not exactly, most of it's not exactly like creepy, or like, yeah, it doesn't exactly fit the challenge properly. But yeah, so I made the bedroom into 4 bedrooms, and actually they're kind of like, the middle one is like really small actually. One of the rooms is a lot bigger than the others, so I didn't think that through properly exactly when doing it, but it'll be fine. They're not all going to be able to sleep at the same time, obviously, so that's definitely, obviously, like, I'll have to prioritize the main sim sleeping. But yeah, I can imagine a lot of sims will be dropping asleep in random places because, yeah, I think you're supposed to like remove inventory items. Like, you're not allowed to keep stuff in your inventory during this challenge as well. So I think you have to remove that all. It's the only time you're allowed to click on the other sims, I think, is when you're removing stuff from their inventory at the end of every day. That brown room is particularly ugly, to be honest. I don't really know what I was thinking when I was designing that. It's like very brown. That's like the theme of the room. I ended up making the other brown room. I changed the wallpaper to yellow, so they kind of like have some kind of colour theme to them. Like, the one's blue, one's kind of green, and the other's yellow. But yeah, I didn't put as much work into the bedrooms, to be fair, as other rooms, and you needed like the cheapest bed as well. Technically that isn't the cheapest bed. The cheapest bed is the kid bed, and I'm not sure if you're supposed to like pick the cheapest adult bed or the cheapest kid bed, but yeah, I mean, that would be annoying because I think adult sims can sleep in the kid bed, but it like is really uncomfortable for them or something. So I mean, I could add them in, and then that would be like an added challenge to deal with, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm already playing in hard mode, so I'll see how it goes. Yeah, and then I added a bunch of appliances and accessories to the kitchen towards the end of the build. Um, with the bedroom doors, actually, I ended up picking ones that had like glass at the top, but I may actually just change them to the glass doors because I guess that would make more sense. Like, it just seems like they wouldn't have complete privacy in an asylum, so kind of going with like a kind of messed up old asylum in a way, I guess. But yeah, also I added a microwave, and I don't know. I think it's okay to add them. I don't think there's any restrictions about kitchen appliances as long as they're the cheapest one. So that should be okay. Okay, so I will upload the next part hopefully soon. Obviously, I'll be making a bunch more of these videos. Not sure how many parts there will be. Guess it depends on how long it takes to complete the challenge or for all the Sims to die. One or the other. But I'll be uploading those soon. So I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!